Okay. All right. Oh, it's working. All right. Hi, everyone. This is my second video of me reading Chapter 5 of Dealing with Dragons by Patricia Reed. I don't understand, Simrine said. It's because I'm not a very satisfactory princess, Eleanor said. I tried, I really did, but it started when the wicked fairy came to my... She put a curse on you? No, she ate cake and ice cream until she nearly burst and danced with my Uncle Arthur until 2 in the morning and had a wonderful time. So she went home without cursing me, and Aunt Ermintrude says that's where the whole problem started. Lots of princesses don't have christening curses, said Simmerine. Sorry, just coming off of Ella of Enchanted, I'm like, you lucked out. You could have got Lucinda. Not if a wicked fairy comes to the christening, Eleanor said positively. That was only the beginning. When I turned 16, Aunt Ermintrude sent me a gold spinning wheel for my birthday, and I sat down and spun. I didn't prick my finger or anything. Simmerine was beginning to see what Eleanor was getting at. Well, if you didn't have a christening curse, so Aunt Ermintrude told Mamma to put me in a spinning wheel in a room full of straw and have me spin it into gold, Eleanor went on. And I tried, but all I could manage was linen thread, and whoever heard of a princess who could spin straw into linen thread? It's a little unusual, certainly, but helpful. Then they gave me a loaf of bread and told me to walk through the forest and give some to anyone who asked. I did exactly what they told me, and the second beggar woman was a fairy in disguise, but instead of saying that whatever I spoke, diamonds and roses would drop from my mouth, she said that since I was so kind, I would never have any problems with my teeth. I mean, that's good. Really? Did it work? Well, I haven't had a toothache since I met her. What? I'd much rather have good teeth than have diamonds and roses drop out of my mouth whenever I said something, Simrine said. Think how uncomfortable it would be if you accidentally talked in your sleep. You'd wake up rolling around on thorns and rocks. That never occurred to me, Eleanor said, much struck. Was that everything? Simrine asked. No, Eleanor said. Aunt Ermintrude persuaded one of her fairy friends to give me a gown and a pair of glass slippers to go to a ball in the next kingdom over, and I broke one before I even got out of the castle. Well, that's not so surprising, Simrine said. Glass slippers are for deserving merchants' daughters, not for princesses. Try telling Aunt Ermintrude that, Eleonora said. I'm kind of amazed because she's not fitting into princess tropes. Like Eleanor doesn't fit into one. But that's her character. My brain is gonna break. Okay, anyway, I think she was the one who found out that Warog was going to ravage a village just over the border and arranged for me to go and visit on the right day so I could be carried off. She didn't even warn me. I suppose she thought if I knew, I'd mess it up somehow. I don't think I would get along very well with your Aunt Ermintrude, Simmering commented thoughtfully. Right? Because what? Oh, it wasn't so bad, at least at first, Eleanor said. Warwick ignored me most of the time, especially after he found out I can't cook, and it was a real relief not to have Aunt Ermintrude around anymore. Only then Gornul brought Caradwell and Zoreth brought Halana, and they've been making her life miserable they've been making life miserable for you ever since, Simrine finished. Why don't you try to stand up to them? I tried, but you don't know what they're like, Eleonora said, sighing. Caradwell goes on and on about correct behavior, and Helena dissolves in tears as soon as it looks like she's losing an argument, and they've both had dozens of knights and princes try to rescue them. I've only had 2. How do you do it? Simrian asked. I've had 9 already, and they're a dreadful nuisance. Eleanor stared at Simrine and then began to giggle. What's so funny? Simrine demanded. Cradwell bragged for a week because 2 knights and a prince tried to rescue her for the first month she was here, Eleanor had explained between giggles. She said it was some kind of record. You've barely been with Kazul for 4 weeks and you've had 9, and you didn't even mention it when Cradwell was here. She's going to be furious when she finds out. If she wants them, she can have them, Simrine said. Her expression grew thoughtful. Maybe they'd be easier to get rid of if I sent them along to other princesses instead of just trying to get them to go home. Oh, said Eleanor, and went off into gales of laughter again. Simrine gave her a questioning look. It's the idea of Caradwell being... it's the idea of Caradwell being rescued by a second-hand knight, Eleanor gasped. Oh dear. Simrine's eyes began to dance. I could take a good look at them first to make sure they were worthy of her before I sent them on, she suggested. This was too much for either of them, and they both collapsed in laughter. You wouldn't really, would you? Eleanor said when she began to recover. Send the knights to rescue someone else? I certainly would, Simrine said emphatically. I meant it when I said they were a nuisance. I wouldn't want to upset Caradwell, though. I'll have to think about the best way of handling it. It's a good thing it probably won't be any more of them for a few weeks. I should have plenty of time to figure something out. How do you know that? Eleanor asked. Simrine explained the sign and Thorandel and her sprained ankle. Eleanor was impressed and promised to help if she could. I'll tell Helena that you've twisted her ankle. I know she'll tell the next knight who comes to rescue her, and then it won't matter if your Prince Thorandel doesn't tell anybody. This is so cool. Oh my god. I guess I never expected there to be another princess, and now it's a friend, and they're both... they're so different. It's cool. This settled, the two girls sat down and began looking through the books and scrolls Cimmerian had piled on the table. Eleonora, having been brought up as a proper princess despite the tiny size of her country, did not read Latin, so Cimmerian had to examine those scrolls herself. There was a sizable stack of books left, however, and Eleonora waded into them with a will. It was Cimmerian, however, who finally found the spell they were searching for. I think this is it, she said, looking up from an ancient crumpled scroll, being a spell for the resisting of heat and flames of all kinds, in particular those which are the product of magical beasts, she read. Yes, there's a list, and it includes dragons. I would think dragons would be at the top, Eleonora said. Is it difficult? It doesn't look hard, Simran said, studying the page. Some of the ingredients are pretty rare, but it says you only need them for the initial casting. After that, you can reactivate the spell just by throwing a pinch of dried feverfew in the air and reciting a couplet. Well, that's not bad, Eleonora said. She came around the table and peered over Simran's shoulder at the faded ink. Is it Latin? No, it's just an ornate style of writing, Simran assured her. It's not hard to read once you get the hang of it. See, there's the couplet. Power of water, wind, and earth, turn the fire back to its birth. It's a variation on a dragon spell, Simran added thoughtfully. How do you know that? Eleonora asked. The court wizard at home mentioned it when he was teaching me magic, Simran replied, studying the direction. Then maybe it really will work on Dragonfire. Can we get all the ingredients for the initial casting? I think so, but it'll take a while, Simran said. I don't have any wolfsbane, and I'm not at all sure about unicorn water. Unicorn water? What the hell is that? Come on, let's check and see what we need to get. They took the scroll into the kitchen and began hunting through the shelves and supplies. They found more of the ingredients than Simmered had expected, and she began to wonder whether one of Kazul's previous princesses might have studied magic. They did not, however, find any wolfsbane or unicorn water, nor were they able to locate any white eagle feathers. Eleanor discovered a very cobwebby jar labeled powdered hen's teeth, but it was quite empty. Powdered hen's teeth. Saray made a list of the ingredients they still needed, while Eleonora changed back into her pearl-embroidered dress. Eleonora took a copy of the list and went back to her quarters, much excited to see whether she happened to have anything useful in the dusty, disused corners of her dragon's kitchen. Saray doubted she would find anything, but there was no harm in letting her look. As soon as Eleonora left, Cimmerian tidied up the kitchen and put all but 2 of the books back on the shelves in the library. One was the Scroll of Spells in which she had found the fireproofing spell, because she wanted to take a more careful look at some of the other charms and enchantments it described. The other was a fat volume bound in worn leather, with the words Historia Dracorum in cracked and flaking gold leaf on the cover. Cimmerian had decided it was time she really got to work on her Latin. Oh my gosh, my brain hurts from trying to think about this book, because it's like a fairy tale, but it's almost like the characters know they're in a fairy. Well, they don't, but oh my god, what is this book? What is it? Okay, I'm gonna read chapter 6 in another video.